good afternoon, and welcome to the best of the 757 Community Talk Show. And I hope that my mic is on.
Oh, it's
And you're
on. It's on. I can hear you loud and clear.
okay. And you know that voice in the background. I still got to introduce her, give her her props, give her escalations. I'm talking about the one in the hardest working lady in show business and community activist, the one and only Georgia Allen, for this segment of the 4th of July weekend. Georgia, you know what you got to do.
Amen. Hello, hello, hello. So it is Thursday.
Yep.
How did that happen?
I just woke up.
It just showed up.
Yeah.
Okay, greetings, greetings, greetings. I am Georgia F. Allen with GA for Justice, and I come to you every single Thursday at 12 o'clock noon. And we're excited to come to you today. Our topic is our generation's O moment. Our generation's O moment. And you're going to ask me, what is O for? I'll tell you about that later. Our quasi principle, of course, is Umoja, unity, as well as Kujichagulia, self-determination. I'm doing two today because we are in the middle of a fight. And guess what? We got to unite for this fight, and we also have to make sure that we have that self-determination to get things done. Okay, with that being said, let's talk about Umoja for just a second, or unity. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, the community, and the nation, and the race. This is critically important at this time. You hear what's going on a national level. You hear what is going on the local level. It is imperative that we stick to these Kwanzaa principles at this time. Umoja, unity. The other principle is Kujichagulia, self-determination. You got to be determined even when your family is not determined. You got to be determined even when your friends are not determined. You have got to have an inner spirit in you that will pull you up when you want to lie down. So Kujichagulia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, and absolutely do not allow others to define us, speak for us, or even to create for us. We're going to create ourselves in the grace of who we are and not who someone else says that we are. Again, many of you will celebrate what is considered Independence Day tomorrow. But Frederick Douglass said, what to us, what to me is the 4th of July? So I want us to take a look at that message again. Today is the 3rd of July, and everybody's getting excited about this so-called Independence Day that they want to focus so much attention on. And I want to remind us, our generation, this is our O moment. And again, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that later. Our faith message is from Proverbs 21:15. When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but what? Terror to the evildoers. So right now we see a whole lot of unjust things going on all around the nation, within our cities, misinformation going on like crazy. And so we want people to be clear. When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to the evildoers. And from my perspective, we need to put some terror in the hearts of the evildoers. And if we're not doing that as civil rights activists, as community activists, as faith leaders, as family members, then we're doing the next generation an injustice. Greetings. I did all of that, and now I'm bringing you greetings. Yes, it's Thursday. Yes, I am Georgia F. Allen with GA for Justice, as always, I want to thank Mr. Henderson Vaughn, aka Captain 85, aka the Dream Maker on WVDM. And he's opened his airways for us for the last few years, and this has been a blessing. It allows us to bring to our listening audience a simple conversation for information, a conversation for correction when necessary, as well as a conversation for transformation. And this is very important in this time because, again, we're getting misinformation, disinformation, we're getting all kinds of inaccuracies everywhere. And so we need to have a voice. We need to have a platform. We need to have a way that we can get information into our community to feed their spirit, feed their souls, to lift them up, and also to encourage them to take action. Because even a little action is better than no action at all. Okay?
Yeah.
Disclaimer, as always, many of you are well aware that I have worked in the civil rights arena. I have been a community activist for decades. Therefore, the various positions that I may take are mine and mine alone. I do not speak on behalf of any groups, of any organizations. I may speak about groups or organizations. I may speak about things that are going on, but I never, I try not to speak on our Black organizations in any type of negative manner whatsoever, because I remember that most organizations consist of volunteers. Therefore, within that volunteer arena, you're going to have all types of people. So the organization may be working diligently and very hard to address concerns and issues. But there can always be that one or that two or that three that will be out there saying stuff that's not true, be out there not knowing the subject matter, not knowing the topic, and they are off and running just so they can get a little bit of publicity. So keep that in mind and don't be so hard on our groups and our organizations, because there are many people within those groups and organizations that are working extremely, extremely hard. Okay. Again, my topic is our generation O moment. Well, what is that O moment? That O moment is called opportunity and obligation. And we're in one of those right now. You may have heard on national news or on, I think it's a people group that is moving around the country and trying to keep people engaged and informed about what's taking place. You may have heard that the head of the Democratic Party in the House, in the U.S. House of Representatives, or part of the other half of Congress, and he's on the floor fighting on behalf of the people. And why is he doing that? Because it's his old moment. It's his opportunity moment. It is his obligation moment to fight on behalf of the people. So he's explaining to the people about what is in this big, ugly bill. Mm-hmm. So let's call it what it is. It's a big, ugly bill, okay? Mm-hmm. And so he is standing on the floor, letting people know that what is in the bill and what is being cut in the federal government can be very damaging, very harming to we the people. And the reason why I say we the people, because guess what? If you don't have 10, 20, 30 million dollars, you are one of those we the people, baby. Folks get all excited because they got a few coins in their pocket and stuff. But when they're going after persons who are not billionaires, baby, you are we the people, okay? Am I right?
Yes,
Am I right, Henderson? Okay. Yes. Because some folks, they get it all twisted. They're like, well, I'm middle class. I'm this class. Well, let me tell you, right now, there ain't a whole lot of middle. There's a lower middle and a lower than lower middle class, okay? but there's not a whole lot of middle classes anymore. And so we want people to understand that right now is your obligation, right now is your opportunity. So what can you do? You can take advantage of the call to action that various groups and organizations are picking up the phone and calling their people and saying, we need you right now to call your congressperson. Let them know how you feel about this bill. When they are deporting 2-year-old children, 2-year-old children, and just going to drop them off in a nation that they have never even set foot in before, that they are not even citizens of these nations, and they're just going to drop them off. You need to call your congressperson. You need to let them know that this is unacceptable. This is totally unacceptable for them to do these type of things. When you find that there are veterans that they want to cut veterans benefits and close veterans hospitals, some of these people, depending upon where they live, it's difficult enough to get to a location to get veteran service. You're a veteran, correct?
Who, me?
You're a veteran. Yes, I'm talking to
you. Yeah, I'm a veteran of the streets. When I was drafted in the Vietnam War, they lowered my classification to H1 or 1H something.
Okay, so you didn't actually serve.
No.
Okay, but you have family members who have served.
All my family, my son, my daughter, my wife.
Okay.
Nieces and nephews.
And if they cut veterans benefits, that affects you. That can affect you, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So therefore, people need to understand that this is not just certain people. This is a whole swath of people that these changes that they're trying to make in the budget can affect you and me. They're talking about cutting Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security.
Hello.
I'm a senior citizen. Those things can affect me. Okay. SNAP benefits for persons who have young children and they are getting SNAP. We have Congress saying, well, they need to work. Baby, that was put in place in the 1990s, that you had a work requirement when you get Medicaid and SNAP benefits. So what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What you talking about? Confusion. It's a ball of confusion is what they're talking about. So they go out and they say these things about we don't want people to take advantage of the system. The same people that claiming they don't want folks to take advantage of the system, what are they doing? What are they doing, Henderson?
Well,
are they taking advantage of the system?
Yeah, see, not cutting across you. See, I used to when I was working earlier, I used to be in the Teamsters Union, and the Teamsters with the president that was here in Norfolk, he would tell people, and those Republicans are going to try to take your that was way back in the when I was 70s and early 80s, and they said they would try to take your benefits from you, and they won't pass bills. And when they pass bill is to take away your benefits, and they keep you under pressure, and you thinking that you're getting something, but yet they're taking it away.
And
that's why our union. That's why our union, you get it in a union. That's why the unions was fighting so hard to get people on jobs to join unions,
right?
To fight for them.
And again, they keep talking about people taking advantage. Most of those people, a lot of those people, I won't say most, but a lot of the people who are serving, and let me take that back, because a lot of those people, they don't serve nobody but themselves. Hello. So a lot of those people that have a seat in Congress are taking advantage of everything that they find out once they walk through the door.
Right.
So when they want to say to people who are simply trying to feed their families, who are simply trying to have health care, they're trying to have housing, they're trying to make sure that their parents have the resources that they need. Because when you tell people that they can't have these services, that means they can't go into a senior living home, correct?
Yep.
They can't get those services. So if they are seniors and they no longer have access to senior homes, who's supposed to take care of them? Because you told us that we had to work if we're going to get into services. Is that not what you're saying?
Yep.
So how is the daughter or the son or the grandchild supposed to take care of the senior and keep them safe from harm, make sure they're fed, make sure they're taken care of, if you don't have any resources for them? And they can't work.
Yeah.
They can't work because they're taking care of this person. So you now said it's mandated that you have a job, that you go out and work, but at the same time, you remove all the resources from the people so that they can actually work. And these are gainfully employed people. What about that business owner?
Yeah.
So I own a business. I own a grocery store, I own a small convenience store, or I own a barbershop, beauty salon, I own a small restaurant, but a family member is sick. And I'm still trying to keep that restaurant up and running so that I bring funds into my household.
Yeah.
But now that I'm taking care of a parent as well, and they're not receiving resources, even if I bring them into my house, the cost of wheelchairs, the cost of those beds, all of those things cost a tremendous amount of money. Where am I supposed to get that money from?
Hello.
Where? And these are the type of things that people are not paying attention to. So just like our forefathers had their old moments, be it during the race riots, where they were coming into our communities and turn up our homes, we were just living our life. We were minding our business. We were abiding by the laws of the land, but we were also abiding by the standards, the principles, and the values that we had learned and have brought here from wherever nation we had come from. Okay. We had close-knit families. We had generations would all come together, both by blood and by community. That's how we made it through. That's how they had, when they had their old moment, and when they were in the middle of one fight after another fight after another fight, they recognized that old moment was still an opportunity, even in the worst of situations, but there was also obligations to keep that family intact, to keep them strong. So today, again, our generation's old moment. And our generation's old moment is about what's going on the national level, as well as what is going on the local level. We also can remember when in previous times, or we read about it one way or another, the oppressor invaded our towns. Those were towns that we had built, that we had developed. Didn't ask for anything from them. As a matter of fact, even if we asked, they weren't giving us anything. So we built things from scratch. We created our own inventions. We were the innovators. And we put things together. And what did we do? We seized one opportunity after another opportunity after another opportunity, because we recognize the importance of family. We recognize the importance of our faith, and we recognize the importance of fulfillment in our community. And so we kept on working. And so we recognize how important it was, how the opportunities were there, even in the worst conditions ever. We still recognize opportunities, and we also recognize obligations to build, to protect, and to support our families, support our values, and instill those values into our children and our children's children. because that's who we are. We don't flee. What do? We fight.
Right.
Am I correct?
Yes.
We don't flee. What we do? We fight. Oh, yes, we do. I just made that one up.
Oh, okay. We better copyright it because you know people steal.
I'm getting my energy now. Okay, I started talking and I'm getting my energy because for those of you who are out there listening, when Henderson and I have a little bit of time to talk before we come on the air, so we have these conversations that you don't get to hear.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna get my energy from today to have this conversation with the audience, but it's coming, you guys. It's coming. Didn't know if it was going to come or not, but it is coming. So keep in mind, as a community, with everything that we have gone through, and look at our people. I mean, look at Harriet Tubman. She recognized her opportunity. So what did she do? Boy, she worked with both the Confederate and the Union Army.
Hello.
So that is an opportunity, okay? So she spied on one and then she went back and spied on the other, okay? Hello. And she pretended to be working with both of them. She recognized her old moment, the opportunity to find out what the enemy was doing, and then she had an obligation to make it better for those that was coming behind her or those that she was taking forward. So what did she do? She ain't flee. She fought, right?
Yeah.
Hello. We just have to keep on fighting. Yes, Bernita, we just keep on fighting. Let me tell you, look, we don't flee, baby. We fight. That's for sure. That's for sure. I tell you, I'm writing it down, Henderson, like you told me. We don't flee, we fight. Okay. Right. I might have to use that as one of my topics later on. But anyway, just want to keep reminding us of the things that we did not do, but the things that our opposition did, the oppressor tried to do to create division in our community. See, because a lot of the things that we're dealing with right now is because of all the things that they did years ago, decades ago. And so in that case, we still have to recognize our opportunity and we have to recognize our obligations. We have to see our old moments because we need to know that scripture is so powerful. I mean, every time I read it, I love it. When justice is done, it brings joy. It brings joy to the righteous, but terror to the evildoers. And right now, we have our opportunity and we have the obligation to bring terror to evildoers. That means we need everybody on their phones, on their texting, and contact your congressperson, whether you live right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia or whether you live in some other state and you're listening. Recognize this is your opportunity, but it is also your obligation. It's your obligation because if you don't do it and we end up with another mess, that's on you. Hello. That is on you. Unfortunately, the rest of us get harmed by the messes that you create. Think about it. Last November, we had an opportunity to do what? Elect a qualified woman that had merit. And what do? We put somebody in office, ain't got no merit, no integrity, no ethics, no anything, no knowledge. Why would we want someone to sit in the most powerful seat in the nation and they're not very bright? Not very bright. Why would you want that? But you had your opportunity. You also had an obligation. Didn't take advantage of the opportunity, and you didn't live up to the obligation that you had on behalf of your children and your children's children. That's a sad That's a sad commentary on you. Any of you who are listening that did not step up to the plate and say, you know what? I'm electing Kamala Harris. I'm going in that booth. I'm going to press the button for her, but I'm also going to go out and speak to all my friends, family, and everybody that I know about voting. That's important. And so what we ended up with is someone with no character, no merit, no qualification, nothing. Pathetic. Pathetic. In a nation of over 300 million people, and with the votes that the I'm just kidding. The votes that the you know that person that's living in that house in Washington D.C., 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, you know that thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That thing, that thing that's living there, he gets to sit in there on taxpayer dollars, public housing, free plane, free security on your dime. But guess what? The people that did not vote were more people than the amount of votes that he received. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That is simply embarrassing because they did not take advantage of their own moment. They didn't do it. And we are a community that has been fighting for decades. And when we fight for everybody. Even though we may say we're fighting for the Black community or we're fighting for the disenfranchised, let me tell you, in some way, shape, or form, all groups pretty much are disenfranchised. Pretty much all groups. Not all of them, but many of them are disenfranchised. Even the ones that fight for the things that don't benefit them. They put themselves in a worse condition because they don't even realize that these folks don't like them. They don't even realize that what they are doing is not in their best interest. And the sad part about it is they get to vote. And they're uneducated, low information voters. And they live their lives on sound bites, slogans, and rhetoric, hearing the same thing over and over and over again. And they're like, well, that sounds good. But you didn't do any investigation. So you just relied on somebody that you don't know, that you will never meet, that will never come to your community. And you relied on somebody like that to tell you they had a concept of a plan. Well, I just thought it was going to be okay. I thought it was going to be all right.
It is.
And then they like, but I didn't vote for that. Oh, yes, you did. I didn't know he was going to cut this. But he told you. He told you over and over again. You weren't listening. You were not listening. Scripture tell you, be quick to listen.
Hello.
Quick. It said, be quick to listen now. And so right now, in one way, it's almost exciting. But in the other way, it can be a little scary and a little distressing. Mm-hmm. But I believe that if people understand the moment that they're in and they make a decision to come together, that we're going to get the outcome that we desire. But that's up to us. That's up to all of us. We can't sit on the sideline. We can't complain. We can't, whine about, well, the Congress should have done this or the da-da-da should have done that. No, it's up to you. This is our moment. This is our old moment. Our forefathers had old moments again and again and again. They had the old moments when they were trying to get the right to vote. They had the old moments when they were trying to get the civil rights laws passed. Those were old moments. Those were opportunity moments. Those were obligation moments. That was their old moment. And we have one right now, right here in the city of Virginia Beach. I'm going to pause for a moment and talk to you a little bit about announcements, acknowledgments, and commemorations. On July 1st, 1917, the East St. Louis race riot occurred. This act of white domestic terrorism aimed at Black residents and business owners is estimated to have tortured and killed 200, though many believe it was probably way more than that. And that's Black people. Those were ancestors who could have passed on wealth to the next generation. But folks who don't like to work and pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but are quick to tell someone else to do so, they saw something that someone else had built with their own sweat, equity, and they were like, well, their house is better than mine. Well, then go over there and figure it out and build your own better house. Well, they have a piano and I don't have one for my children. Then go over there, get you a job, work in the coal mine or whatever else you have to do, and buy you a piano. So anyway, next announcement or commemoration or acknowledgement. So I want to remind people, don't forget about your forefathers and what they went through and how they had to fight back when they were being attacked. So riots, we didn't start them. We did not start riots. That other group started riots. Now let's talk about Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis was born July the 1st, 1961, in Birmingham, Alabama. He won 9 Olympic gold medals, but he won 10 total medals. He was named Olympian of the Century by Sports Illustrated and Olympian of the Century by the International Olympian Committee. We also have Medgar Wiley Evers, who was the NAACP first field secretary in Mississippi. He was born on June the 2nd. We have Ida B. Wells Barnett. She was prominent anti-lynching crusader, journalist, and suffragist. Was born on July the 16th. Mary McLeod Bethune, a leading educator and civil rights leader, was born on July the 10th. We've had some strong men and women in our community, and don't forget them. We had a couple of other people that I want to talk about. Thurgood Marshall, born July the 2nd, 1908. He was the first African-American Supreme Court justice. And of course, always being recognized as a very important figure in our history. I'm going to move on down here to Arthur Ashe. If I can get this thing to do what it's supposed to do. Arthur Ashe was born July the 10th, 1943, and he was the first Black male to win the Wimbledon. That's tennis, y'all.
Yes.
That's tennis, the first. Okay. There's a lot of July events that took place. On July the 5th, which is what I spoke about when I first got started, Frederick Douglass delivered his powerful speech. What to the slave is the 4th of July? What is it? What to us is the 4th of July? it may be your Independence Day, but I haven't seen it be an Independence Day for me yet. Like that Pledge of Allegiance, they always indoctrinate our children and try to make them say it in school. That Star Spangled Banner, that they try to make us stand up and praise it. That's not much different than this so-called 4th of July thing that people are supposed to celebrate, that Frederick Douglass was speaking about. What is it to us? What is it to those who have been kidnapped, trafficked? If they want to talk about trafficking, these people wrote the book on human trafficking. Okay, next I want to announce that on July the 2nd, 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act. So that Civil Rights Act that they always talk about, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that was signed by Lyndon B. Johnson on July the 2nd. And then July the 6th, 1957, Althea Gibson became the first African-American woman to win the Wimbledon. So both Arthur Ashe and Althea Gibson both won the Wimbledon. And I believe both of them, well, Arthur was born on July 10th and she won the Wimbledon in July. So now the other announcements that we have today is the NAACP Virginia Beach will have its first Fridays tomorrow night, July the 4th, at Poolside Cafe on Holland Road. And we hope that they will talk a lot about the O moment, which is the 10-1 voting system, which I will talk about after the break. And then on Saturday, guess what I'm going to do?
What's that?
I'm going to go to the Tidewater Liberty Party at Mom's Kitchen, 10 o'clock. And I'm going to talk about the 10-1 voting system, okay? So anybody that want to come out to the Tidewater Liberty Party, that has changed its name a number of times, it's Tidewater Libertarian Party and some other names as well. But I think it's important that we talk to people from all across the various spectrums. And that way, we know how people are thinking and we know how they stand on issues. So we can do one of two things. We can just pretend they don't exist, or we can go and address those concerns and those issues that they have and maybe come to a consensus about what we want to do. So with that being said, we're going to roll on back to yes.
Excuse me, I mean to interrupt you. You missed one.
Did I miss one? Oh, I have her up here, Malia Obama. Yes. Yeah. On guess what? She's born on the 4th of July, and I have her on my paper.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I do. And no, look, let me tell you, I start looking at this and I'll look at it and then I'll miss it because I said, well, I'm going to bring it up later.
Okay. Well, let me take it down then.
No, leave it up. Leave it up. But yes, Malia Obama was born July the 4th. So she will have her birthday tomorrow. And I thought that was interesting that their first child was born on the 4th of July. And many of you probably know that President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama had a difficult time with birthing. And so, the fact that she's got here, absolutely beautiful, was a real blessing to them. So we want to congratulate them for being able to have a child. And now and of course they ended up with 2. And then their beautiful daughter, Malia, born in July, and their other daughter, Sasha, was born in June. And guess what? President Obama is born in August. So 3 months in a row, June, July, and August, the Obamas have birthdays.
Yeah, summertime.
Both girls and him.
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. Okay. So let's talk about our old moment. Let's talk about the Virginia Beach old moment. Many of you may have heard that the lawsuit on the state level or local level, they had a judge that decided he was going to void the lawsuit for the 10-1 voting system. Many of you are familiar with the fact that in the city of Virginia Beach since 2017, there has been a fight to ensure, and I did miss another one, and we'll come back to her later. There's been a fight for fair representation, for equitable representation. Missy Elliott, I'll tell you about her in a minute.
Okay.
So you can find her picture.
Yeah.
Because I forgot to tell you about her. But anyway, so with regards to having fair representation, there was a fight in the court system on the federal level that the city of Virginia Beach had violated the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Virginia Beach became a city in 1963. So 2 years following them becoming a city, a federal law was put in place that said you have to have fair voting. There were certain restrictions and certain things that they had to follow, to the point that when the law was written, they had Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And so Section 2 is the only part of the Voting Rights Act that is still standing. And under that Section 2, a lawsuit was filed so that the people in Virginia Beach would have an opportunity to fairly elect the candidate of their choice. So our fight in this old moment is the city of Virginia Beach. Mm-hmm. And we're fighting because we have to use our collective voices to fight what we now have, which is a referendum that will be going on the ballot in November. And that referendum will ask us, do you want the 10-1 voting system, or do you want this alternative voting system? And I'm not going to name it because my focus is on 10-1. And so to all of you who are listening to me, I will not give voice to opposition. I won't do it. Right. It's my show. It's my message.
Well, will this be the end of?
Look, we've asked that question as well. So we're asking everybody to vote yes to 10-1 election system. Okay. Regardless of what you hear out there, regardless of how they frame it, regardless of who comes to you, maybe to be a friend. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. And I heard this and I heard that.
I only know
Put a plug in your ear because you did not hear from the right person if they're telling you to vote opposite of what is in your best interest.
Right.
So all you got
to do is tell them to remind them of this. There's the 10th commandment.
Yes.
Remember that. That's the one you got to remember. The 10th commandment. It's backwards.
Exactly. So 10-1, vote 10.
Yeah. Thou shalt vote for the 10-1. That's all.
Well, I was supposed to announce Missy Elliott. Groundbreaking Missy Elliott was born July 1st, 1971. She is a groundbreaking rapper, singer, songwriter, and producer. The only female rap artist inducted into both the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Missy was one of those young people from none other than Portsmouth, Virginia, or the 757.
Hello.
Looking good, Missy. I love that picture of her.
Yeah, she started doing talent shows when I was running and managing Club Royal Blue.
Okay.
And then when we took over, when we opened up Picasso's, my brother allowed Tim Magoo and Missy Elliott, Genuine, all the groups. They prefer to do a benefit to raise money for their group at Picasso's on a Saturday. And once it was all done, he gave them all the money. He didn't take any percentage of the money. He said, give it all to them,
That
So
was wonderful. And that was their groundbreaking getting started. And
yeah,
guess what? They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps because you
yeah,
know what? They were willing to come out and do something on behalf of the community. And the heart of your brother said, you know what? I'm giving them money. So this will be their start. So that's
right,
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing about Missy owns the rights to her music, owns the
Hello.
rights to the writing of her music and
Mhm.
also the composing and all of that. She
She
owns the rights to her music.
what?
She and she's teaching other
Uh,
female artists how to
mhm.
do the same thing, how to
Okay,
own yourself. And I have this thing called woo, we own ourselves. And I
okay.
strongly believe in that. I believe strongly that it's important that we make sure that we own ourselves. That's our music, that's our
Hello.
messaging. That should belong to us. And we need to stop allowing other people to, what did I say, create for us, define us and everything. Don't let them do that.
Yeah,
Own yourself. Own
yeah.
yourself. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the 10-1 election system because we want to make sure that people understand that regardless of where you live in Virginia Beach, regardless of whether you're a senior, a youth, whether or not you are a parent or a single person, we want to encourage you to vote yes. And you said, well, why vote yes on this particular referendum? You want to vote yes because now the power comes back to the people. Up until this point, special interests were controlling every member of city council, and they still have their hands in our government. But now we are able to begin to peel these people away because they don't have to spend as much money to run for office. And that is what we want. We want to put the control back in the hands of the people. So, what does the 10-1 voting system do? It creates smaller district size. Okay, the 10-1 district system with the smaller district size, it makes it less expensive for citizens to run for office. The other thing about this is those district sizes are now like 48,000 people versus a citywide race of over 400,000 people. So that's why 10-1 system is so important. What else is important about the 10-1 system? It gives a more fair opportunity. A 10-1 district system gives everyone an opportunity to run for office. So we could have 50 people in the races. Okay. Go out there, put your name out there, shake hands, go door to door, get to know the people, let the people get to know you. And people, do your research. Do your research because we got some folks sitting up on. I almost made a mistake. We got some folks sitting on city council. They need to go home. But with the
Hello.
10-1 system, it's a lot easier to remove and replace them. So you should right now be looking for candidates to run for city council because the election is 2026. So that's another thing. What else about the voting right? What else about the voting system 10-1? It complies with VRA or the Voting Rights Act. This new system allows Virginia Beach to finally be in compliance with the Voting Rights Act of 1965 for the first time in the history of the city.
Wow.
And we've been a city since 1963. Diverse governing body. With the 10-1 voting system, it has given Virginia Beach the most diverse governing body by age, by race, by gender, by ethnicity, by socioeconomic, demographic, thereby allowing both youth and seniors to share their knowledge and vision for our city. So that's important. It's important that you have a more diverse governing body because if you have all the people from the same part of the city or all the people with the same mindset, you only need one person at the table. You don't need
Hello.
11. Okay. The other thing about this voting system, it was done during the decennial redistricting. Why is that important? Because the nation, the federal government mandates that all cities, counties, towns do a census every 10 years. And what does that census do? The census is there to ensure that all government bodies make appropriate changes in the way that the districts are drawn. Why is that important? Because guess what? Over in one district, they may have had a population boom, while over in another district, they didn't. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you draw districts so that it will be fairly drawn in a manner that is helpful to the community itself. And so with the redistricting, we also have to recognize, and I like to say this over and over again, because these people have been suing the city and they don't want to change the charter. And so they're saying that we can't ratify the redistricting unless we change the charter, which in fact, according to the wording of the Code of Virginia, it clearly says that the decennial redistricting takes precedence over the city charter. So even though there is a city charter, that does not take precedence over redistricting. Redistricting takes precedence over the city charter. So you want to keep that in mind, because what people will do a lot of times is they will continue to confuse you by saying, well, the charter, it didn't go up to Richmond and it didn't pass. We live in a Commonwealth, and we live, for those of you who are listening, we live in the Commonwealth, and we live in what we call a Dillon rule state, meaning that you take things to the state, get it approved, and it comes back to your local government. So because we've had a lot of fights with regards to that, I'm going to read what the state of Virginia code says, but I'm going to give you the last one, which is unbiased consultant study. The unbiased consultant study by UVA Weldon Cooper Center, who was contracted to gather in-person public input in all 10 districts, along with additional virtual input meetings. Okay, so the public, so all these people that says the referendum will allow people to speak, the public has already spoken, because the Weldon Center came in, took a survey, and the result of the survey and the public input sessions indicated that 81% of the Virginia Beach citizens support the 10-1 system over the previous unfair system. So keep that in mind. The Weldon Center, a nonpartisan, a private company, took a survey. So it wasn't people from the city. It wasn't any particular group. It wasn't a political party. It wasn't any of that. It was a contracted business. Okay, and this is what this group does. The Weldon Cooper Center is famous all around the country for doing surveys, and they're well noted for doing surveys. Now, let me get back to the decennial redistricting and why that is so important. Because under Code of Virginia 24.2-311, it clearly says, in the event of a conflict between the provisions of a decennial redistricting measure and the provisions of the charter of any locality, the provisions of the redistricting measure shall be deemed to override the charter provisions to the extent required to give effect to the redistricting plan. Hello. The redistricting plan was done by a special master. It was not done by a political party. It was an independent special master that redrew the districts in the city of Virginia Beach. So for those of you who are listening, this is our opportunity, and it is also our obligation. And I got to stop bouncing, because when I bounce, I'm bouncing on the screen. I just noticed that I was bouncing on the screen. That's because I'm excited. I want you to write this down. Code of Virginia 24.2-311. Line item number E. Okay? Read it. So when these people are running around telling you guys this misinformation, cut it, paste it, send it out to friends and relatives all over the city and let them know that the redistricting and the ruling by the federal judge stands. It takes precedence. And courts are done in a order: lower court, middle court, higher court. And so in this case, the federal court overrules a state court any way, shape, or form. So with that being said, this is our opportunity. This is our obligation. Today, the show was about our generation, oh moment. And I hope this was clear to you guys. I hope this was helpful. I ask that you send this out, share this information, because no matter how many times you say it, you cannot say it enough. How do we know? Because we saw what the orange dude did. He said it over and over, still saying it, still making the same statements over and over and over again. So for those of you who are listening, understand repetition matters. Repetition. We want the 10-1 voting system. Vote yes. Vote yes. Vote yes. Again, I am Georgia F. Allen with GA for Justice, and I come to you every single Thursday to bring you a little bit of information, try to provide you a little bit of knowledge, and hopefully help you as you're going through and trying to decide with everything that you've been bombarded with, that this is some information that's from a trusted source. The last I checked, I was trusted.
Yeah, you are.
And I don't do this for no personal reasons. I do this because it's important for the benefit of the community. And for those of you who say, well, that's only helping a certain group of people, guess what? If you're from any one of the many communities out there and you have a child and they have a small business and they want to run for office, but they're now at a place where they don't have to work all day, every day. They're not $30 million people, but they make enough money that they can actually run for office. And if they have the opportunity to serve, they have the flexibility because they are a business owner. But the other thing they have is the ability to run in an election without them having to auction off their business to run for a job to work on city council. So with that being said, this affects everybody and this benefits everyone. So I will see you next Thursday. Same time, same place. Thank you and bye-bye.
Ain't no doubt about it. Another great show for the 4th of July and for the first 4th of July of 2025. And I want to thank Miss Georgia Allen for volunteering to do this show. And don't forget to, when you see her walking down the street, say, hello, GA for Justice, and let her know how much you appreciate her work. So the next time, have a great 4th of July. And don't forget to join me at 3 to 5 on Frequency Distribution from 5 to 6. So let's get Praise Music Ministry. It's all on Bond Digital Media. Until next time, America.
Until next time.
Don't forget, it's GA for Justice.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay.